To go because of the RG3 knee injury. Only 2 carries last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that limits his effectiveness. We're still in that window of where we know he's hurt. It's a 4-week injury, this knee sprain. I trust Romo in this spot. Last week is a perfect Romo game. 400-plus yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, a huge touchdown late to send it to overtime. His team loses, and it's like Romo gets no credit for it. So I'm giving Romo the slight edge and trusting him here. I don't think many people are going to agree with me on that.
No, I don't agree with you on that. I trust the 22-year-old rookie more than I trust the 32-year-old veteran. And I think that word is key, trust. I've been watching Romo the whole second half of the season. He's been outstanding. He has stopped throwing interceptions, 3 in his last 8 games after 13 in his first 7.
Yeah.
And the kid in Washington has 5 all year. The key is trust. And with Romo, he's still a guy that if he threw 4 interceptions on Sunday night, you'd go, oh, yeah, I've seen that before. With Robert Griffin III, we've not seen that. He's been steady. He has been one of the most accurate passers in the league, according to all these next-level stats that we get from ESPN Stats and Information. He has not turned the ball over, and I think that's the key when you talk about trust. This is a guy that we haven't seen him lose a game with 3 or 4 interceptions. We have seen it with Romo, and that's why, as great as he's been lately, you still can't fully trust him.
You know, I think it's going to be a different situation for Griffin. When you go back and you look at the first game, anyone who plays RG3 for the first time, even going back to college, they always underestimate how fast he is, how quickly he can get to the edge, how fast he is straight line, how quickly he gets rid of the ball. And the linebacking play for Dallas, I think, is going to be the key in this game because you look at it and they were sucked up so quickly. And RG3, man, he will thread the needle. He takes some chances now. And there's a lot of throws that he makes that end up to be big plays that could have easily went the other way for the other team. So I'm saying that he's not going to have he's going to have a good game, but I think in the end, I think he's going to make some mistakes. For Romo, on the other hand, like, I'm with you. I trust him more. I just feel like even through losses, they've just kind of shown me that they become more resilient. And I think that is a good thing for a team. Like a lot of teams will lose games and they will say, well, we were in every single game. Well, sure. You have to win them. Like winning close games, I've said it a lot, is like that. Those are things that you can't teach. You have to go through it. You have to go through the fire. You have to learn to be mentally tough. You have to not give up. You have to realize that you always have a chance. And even in losing last week, I mean, he put his team in a situation to win the game. He doesn't play defense, so he couldn't stop him. But he showed that he can do it.
But Ryan, Robert Griffin III won the game.
Ryan, you say, look, you trust Romo more, but here's the question. Is he going to win that game?
I actually believe he's going to win this game. And now going back to last weekend, I like Washington for the division, but until I saw RG3, and this is something I just don't understand. Everybody talks about having to prepare for both elements of his game. I've always thought that you go into it making him prove to you that he can still run the football. So if you look back to last week and you're Philadelphia, why would you have played him as if he's this dual-threat QB? Because he's not that. And if I'm Dallas, I'm not looking at this game saying, I expect him to be a dual-threat guy. He has to prove it to me first, and that's why I've kind of changed my mind. I know it's tough, Kerry, to say, hey, I trust Romo, because I know a lot of people don't say that. But compared to the two guys, we're still talking about a rookie.
The tide's been turning.
But he didn't beat Dallas on Thanksgiving by running the ball. He had 7 carries for 29 yards against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. He beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving by throwing the ball downfield and throwing it deep and beating that Dallas secondary. And I think that's the key thing to remember. He played well against the Eagles last week. I mean, we talk about, yes, Romo played well in a loss last week. Griffin played well in a win. And that team has won 6 games in a row. They won 1 without him, but 5 of the 6, he's been the quarterback. And I think it's important to keep in mind that as great as Romo's been, the Redskins have been a little bit better in this second half of the season.
You know, I always like when we used to play, the best thing about the NFL, obviously in other sports, that you get to play your division rivals twice. You play them at home. And I always love the fact if we lost to a team, especially like a new quarterback or a new system, whoever, like the burden of proof was always on them. Even if we were playing them at home, it was easier for us to get ready for it because we kind of already saw what their best was. So offensively, schematically, matchup-wise, we just felt like it was easier because 28 points by RG3 in the second quarter of that last game. I mean, the throws he was making, flat out ridiculous. I mean, it was unbelievable. The throw to Moss, the back shoulder throw. I was sitting there watching it, going, "This guy should not be able to do this." I mean, I think he was playing unconscious, okay? That's how good he was playing. You're not going to see that same game. Big plays killed the Dallas Cowboys. They killed them. I think if they can just not give up the good play, make them meticulously, run the ball downfield, short throws, just don't give up any big plays, they have a significant chance of beating this team. And plus, the Redskins, I know they've been playing better, they've been getting turnovers, but are we really trusting them? That should be the bigger question. Whose defense do you trust more, Dallas or Redskins?
Washington's by default, because the Cowboys' defense has not been the kind of defense that can direct the action the way you're talking about.
And DeMarcus Ware with this injury.
And DeMarcus Ware is banged up. He's got a shoulder injury, an elbow injury. He's got to wear 3 different kinds of braces and harnesses just to play the game. The Cowboys are giving up 409 yards a game over their last 8. It's the highest total in the NFL, and I think if it comes down to defense, you're right. Neither one of these teams is going to win any awards for how it's played defense this year, but the Cowboys are so shredded. They're down 5 starters on defense. It's caught up with them. And what Romo's doing week in and week out is overcoming that. I think the Redskins are playing a little bit better defense, and I think you can trust the Redskins a little bit more on both sides of the ball.
And that's what it comes down. You're talking about playoff football, playoff caliber stuff. It's like, who has the best quarterback? Who can overcome the deficiencies of the defense?
Still talking about a rookie, though. I mean, I still am blown away by the idea.
But you know what?
His numbers are not great rookie numbers. They're great overall numbers. I mean, the most accurate passer in the league.
Right, but he's asked to do a lot less than some of the other quarterbacks around here. Let's be honest about that.
He still takes every snap. I mean, he's not handing it off all the time.
When you watch some of his throws, I mean, we're talking about like 13 completions in a game, and then we come back on Tuesday after a Monday night game and go, oh, my God. Like, I'm not telling you he hasn't been great this year, but he has asked to do less than a lot of other quarterbacks. He's unbelievably effective, and it goes to the offensive coordinators and setting him up, both Shanahan and his son there. But I still think that when you're looking at a guy who has to throw it 30 to 40 times, and maybe Romo has to do that because of their lack of a running game, he's going to be more comfortable doing that than RG3 would.
The reason he doesn't have to throw it 30 or 40 times is because one of them is a 65-yard touchdown to Pierre Garçon against the Cowboys, and then so most quarterbacks would need 4 or 5 throws to get down the field. The kid is special. There's no question about that. I mean, you talk about Romo, and Romo's still a great story. I mean, this is still, people forget about Romo. He's an undrafted quarterback who's become one of the best in the league. But there's a reason in general. People do miss. There's a reason some guys are undrafted, and a reason some guys get picked 2nd overall. And Robert Griffin III
get it wrong.
Sometimes.
That's why.
But on the RG3 end, this is a special, special talent who is going to be special for years to come.
All right, gentlemen.